Aloha, what's up, everybody? Aloha Wednesday, hump day for everyone. Hope you guys having a great week. Um, been a good week for me. Short week, holiday week. Monday was a holiday, Labor Day, and also my birthday. So I want to start off by saying thank you to all of you. Over 1,000 comments and posts that I wish I could get to each and every one of you to thank you personally, but just it's just impossible. So I just want to say thank you all for the birthday wishes, the nice, kind words, and just for your friendship, man. Just for just being friends. A lot of that came from across the country, from the village, from villagers, from just old friends, classmates, old colleagues in the military. I mean, it's just phenomenal. And I just want to say thank you all for making it a very special day. We had a great day. Kick back, relax, watch football in the morning, hang out at my brother's house for a little while, then head over to Timbers for lunch with Patsy, and that was it. Came back home and relaxed for the rest of the evening. And it was a good night, good day. So again, thank you, thank you, thank you. Friday is our anniversary, 33-year anniversary. I planned it that way so I wouldn't forget, right? I know I wouldn't forget my birthday. So I just knew that at the end of the week would be my anniversary, so I don't get in trouble forgetting the anniversary. So yeah, on the 9th is our 33rd anniversary. So we will be celebrating with our dinner. So again, I apologize, but unfortunately, we're not going to have a show again because I do want to enjoy dinner with Patsy. So anyway, again, thanks for joining us tonight. Tonight we have Addison Bulosan. Many of you know him. He's a chiropractor here in Kauai, running for Kauai County Council. So he'll be jumping on in a few minutes, and we'll talk story. And again, I know a lot of people. We've lost a lot of viewers because we kind of deviated away from COVID. I just want to say that I think the state has really taken a step back and just allowing COVID to go through, and again, as we've been saying for months, we got to take care of ourselves. I will say about the numbers that the numbers go down every week, but the deaths remains about the same. Last week we had 11, unfortunately 11 people died of COVID, and I'm not an expert mathematician, but I know this, that if your case numbers are going down and your death rate is the same, or going down at a slower pace, that means your mortality rate is higher. That's just the numbers. We all know that the case numbers are totally inaccurate because the home tests and the reduction of testing, available testing for the people in our state. But if you use the numbers that they provide us every week, and you see that the death rate is staying the same, that means every time your case count goes down, just pure math means that your mortality rate is going up, which means that COVID is still here and COVID is still dangerous. 11 people in a week, folks, that's not minor. 11 people, 12 the week before and 13 the week before, and it's that's just a lot of people that are unfortunately losing their battle with COVID. So just wanted to say, folks, it's still here. They expect surges. COVID is not going away, and we got to take care of ourselves, and we got to be safe. I myself am starting to actually go out more. Of course, we wear masks, and we be as safe as we can, but I think we got to understand, and that's what I think the state has pretty much not said anything. Right, they just let it go. Um, in fact, monkeypox gets more press than COVID now, but no one's dying from monkeypox. They're dying from COVID. So just be safe, folks. Be careful, and take care of yourselves and your ohana. That's what I can say. So anyway, I hope you guys again having a great week. And again, Addison is in the green room. We'll bring him in right now, and he looks nervous. He looks really really nervous. We'll go easy on him tonight, though. We'll go really easy on him tonight. What's up, man? How you doing, bro?
What's up? Good to see you. You're
I
right.
know, I know.
I always get nervous when I jump on
I
these
saw you.
things.
I saw you. Like I can see you. I don't know if you can see us, but I know you can hear us. But in the green room. But yeah, man. I was just. I know you could hear. I was just talking a little bit about COVID, but a lot of people again are not interested in anything else but COVID, and I am. Trust me, I am very interested in COVID, and I still track the numbers. I still track the stories from the mainland. I still track the cases from around the world. But again, there's I don't believe there's enough change in what's happening that I think when we try to when I try to look at what we're going to put on the show and what we're gonna what content we're going to put out there, I want to make sure we have content that people can use. That and again, because it's election time, and this is the one time every 2 or 4 years that the people have a say. That the people, the public, the voter, has a say in the future of their government. So I decided, and I knew it would come at a cost of losing some viewers because I know there are people that are only interested in COVID. But that's fine, and we appreciate everyone that has participated in this show for the last almost 3 years. But again, the whole theme of the show was always inform and educate. That's what it was, and COVID happened to be the one topic that people couldn't get information on. So we try to provide that, and as COVID becomes a part of our life, we got to move on with information that people use. Again, the election's coming up. 39.6%, whatever voter turnout on Kauai, Addison. That is pretty embarrassing. But anyway, we'll get into all of that. Right now, I just want to introduce you, Addison Bulosan, candidate for Kauai County Council. Uh, I'm going to turn it over to you, bro, and introduce yourself. Tell us your story, and then we'll take it from there and find out what the heck are you thinking by throwing your hat in the ring for Kauai County Council.
Uh, well, thank you so much, Mel, for having me on. I think before I talk a little bit about myself, you gotta remember that this live stream we've been doing for almost 3 years have been for me and for a lot of people I know and talk to, it's been one of the best places to get great information. You bring on experts on this all the time, and it's amazing that how much ability that you have to bring people together so that we can get the right information. So props to you because I do these like once maybe every week, and I still get super nervous jumping on online, even though you play music and you perform and stuff like that. This still, I don't know why, it still gets me nervous. But anyways, I'm Addison Bulosan, born and raised on Kauai in Lihue, right down the street from the library, public library in Lihue. Graduate from Wilcox Elementary, Kauai High School in 2004. I moved away from home and and lived away for about 10 years in Seattle for 5 years and 5 years in California. And then I moved back home in 2014 to open up my practice as a practicing doctor of chiropractic. I practiced there since 2014, so it's been 8 years. We hit 8 years in the anniversary is in 10 days. So that's super exciting because it's one of those things that I look back and I'm like, oh, can't believe it's been 8 years I've been moved back home and taking care of people. I still tell people I just moved back home. It's funny, but it's like, no, it was 8 years ago. But I practiced chiropractic. Before that, I was a musician, my first degree was actually in music. So I'm an audio engineer by practice, first career and second career in music. And so moving back home was one of those things I've always wished to do, and I feel super blessed that I get to still call Kauai home. And hopefully, we talk a little bit about the challenges that we're all facing here on Kauai, why a lot of people are moving away or unable to move back home. And so, I think you were one of the first people I called in 2020 when I decided to run. Then it was never a thing on the priority list of my life. Even the jobs that I have, I never wanted to become a chiropractor. I didn't even want to do music. I actually, truth be told, I wanted to be an architect or an electrical engineer. I wanted to follow my dad. He was an electrician and just loved math, which is a weird thing to say. I love math. But what led me to become a musician was because of the influence of my community, playing music as a young kid. But then I became a chiropractor because I used to have migraine headaches, and chiropractic was the only thing that could help me. And I actually ran in 2020 and running in 2022 again, not because I really wanted to, but because the community asked me to step into this position to try to see if I can take some of my experiences as a small business owner, as a healthcare practitioner, as a musician, being born and raised here, to try to take all these life skills and see if we can apply it to our local county government and see if I could make a difference there. And what really inspired me, or I guess motivated me, because when you say inspired, it's usually you're inspired because you're uplifted and wanting to do something for the community. I was motivated because I saw the challenges coming ahead, all the things that we were seeing through the pandemic, and the challenges that was happening with small businesses and local people. I could see it narrowing down and getting more challenging over the next couple of years, and I just didn't, I couldn't sit by and just let that stuff happen without trying to make a difference. And so, a lot of people, we would talk and gather in rooms and talk solutions, and I try to not motivate, but try to put some of these solutions at the front, or at the forefront of what we're doing. And as much as we do it through the nonprofits or the small businesses that we have, we just knew there was another level that need to happen. And so, and it's not to say that our current elected officials aren't doing all the things that need to be done, but there's always, help when people can rally around and step up and be involved. And I guess that's one thing I learned moving back home was the biggest thing was that, leadership is not just people who are holding leadership positions. It's leaders in all of us. And I really learned that from our community. And so me taking the jump to try to do this thing is actually because the community have been giving me that energy of wanting to help. And I know for my life, I've received so much help. And so I just want to give back. So here we are, full circle, and jumping in here 2022, we made it into the general. And I'm super excited because now I get to spend more time narrowing down some of the things that I think I could help with, but more importantly, starting to really reach out to people and talking about what things they want to see in the community, what things that are, that have been worked on that just needs a little bit more energy or more connection or something I can learn from. So that's the fun and exciting part because that's one thing I get super into, which is I love learning. It's a weird thing. I mean, I have books all around me. I just love learning. And then if you're a person I've never met before and you do something I've never learned before, oh, it's the worst because I'm just gonna ask you like a million questions and try to learn. So that's me. Yeah, I mean,
Well, first of all, congratulations on your anniversary of your practice. That's a huge accomplishment here, especially during surviving through the pandemic, and we all know it was rough. And so congratulations on that, and uh, congratulations on first of all running. And I remember that phone call back in 2020, I guess it was. I had received a few phone calls from people wanting to run, asking me if I was going to run, because if I was going to run, then they would not run because they figured I was an automatic win. And I told every one of them that called that should not be even relevant. If you feel that you want to represent the people, then you go. You just go. UH got to play Michigan on Saturday. Do they think I got to? Do you think they're going to win? No, I don't think they're going to win. I think they're going to have a hard time. But you show up and you play your best. And I ran my first election back in 1998, and I lost the election as well, my first run. So it's bottom line, congratulations, man, and good luck going into the general. Now the work begins. Now the work begins. But you have been in the community ever since you got back home, ever since you came back home, and you and all. I mean, it seems like you're everywhere. Very active in community projects, community events. So this is, the transition is really not that huge because you've pretty much been doing it. I really appreciated what you said about um, learning because we always learn. Every single day we learn. And being on that council, that's like a university in and of itself. Every single day, it's like going to class. Because what people got to understand and appreciate is that every single person in the communities that you represent have a perspective, have a perception, have an opinion. And was talking with another council member the other day, and I said, you, no one's right. There is no right and wrong in serving as a council member, because everyone's opinion matters, and everyone uses their life experiences to form their opinion, or their perspective on whatever's going on. And no one's right and no one's wrong. It's a matter of being able to have the discussion and learn from each other, and then come out with what you believe is the best result for the general population. And that's very difficult for some people to manage. But it seems like you've been doing this for so long in other capacities that the transition shouldn't be that difficult for you.
Yeah, I mean, I guess at least the reaching out portion, right? That's something that kind of my family, my mom and dad is really good at doing that with if
Who
anyone
who uh,
remember
who who is your
Philanthropy.
who? Yeah, who's your mom and dad? I mean, like they're like world famous anyway here on Kauai. Who's your mom and dad?
Yeah, so Adams and Charmaine Bulosan. So if you know my mom, she works at Mokiana Travel. She probably booked your flights before, at least either you or your mom or dad or your grandma or grandpa. Pretty much, they're the only. I think they're the only travel agent on Kauai. And surprising, people really forget this stuff, but um, booking flights is not easy. I mean, I remember just like a day or two ago, I'm like, oh man, I gotta go through Google Flights. I know you have Google Flights and you can just look up flights pretty easily, but you still gotta sift through all the different flight patterns and looking at what is the most cost effective. And when you can't talk to somebody, especially if you're booking online, you gotta change the flight. Oh, it's the worst. And so I super appreciate my mom. My mom is just super dedicated in helping people, and it's just one of those things that I kind of got from them, just seeing them doing that every day with work and then through the community. And then just my dad is the same way, electrician, work hard, just retired, semi-retired. Them, and they retire, it means they're gonna work harder, but probably for free. So my dad's an electrician with Electricians Inc. for years, and whenever anyone needed help, just there, it's instant. Like you don't even have to ask sometimes, and that's the part for me. I picked up from my dad. Like he'll see someone that needs help, and he just show up, and he'll do whatever needs to be done to help whatever that needs to get done, and that's kind of in me now. I'm like, if you ever see me walking down Rice Street and I just randomly see something wrong, you'll see me running towards that problem. It's kind of a good and bad thing. I mean, sometimes I don't know when to stop. I'm like, hey, wait, I gotta slow down here. I can't do too many things. But that's my dad. So if you guys ever ran into him, probably in Home Depot. It's like a Home Depot. He lives there pretty much. Gets all the stuff there. He's just like that, and I kind of picked that up from them. So you'll see them around. You'll probably see them at the Turtle Ball this what is this, next week Saturday? Oh yeah, it's next week
Yeah,
Saturday.
Patsy just texted me, or not texted. She posted, "Mom is the chair for the Turtle Ball."
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll definitely get to the Turtle Ball before the end. But I did want to say your mom and my mom were like best friends, and for a very very long time. So I really didn't know you until you came back home, but I've
No.
known your parents forever, and yeah, so good people and very
Yes,
active as well in the community.
we have three boys. So there's my two older brothers and me and then my sister. So I'm like the middle child. I'm the actually the quiet, shy one. So it's weird for me to be everywhere with the. Oh, I still am not comfortable with the banners, man. I'm like, oh, I just want to take them on every day because I'm the shy, quiet one in the family, and so it's just so interesting because everyone knows my brother and they know my sister, they know them, but I'm so weird. It's weird for me to be, I guess, all over the place right now. I'm like, oh shoot, like, gotta take those banners down already.
Well, pretty soon, man. A couple more months. So you spent 5 years in Washington State, 5 years in California. So you got a good grasp of the lifestyle in those states. And then you come home, and over the last 8 years or however long you've been back, you've seen Kauai. And like many of us, we've all witnessed, or we are witnessing Kauai change right before our eyes. So what is number one? I think you kind of touched on why you ran, but what are the issues, or the problems that you see that you really want to get into, if you get back, or if you get into the council? What are the top issues? And in no particular order. I hate when people ask me, "What's your top priority?" There's a bunch. There's a bunch. It's like you got to work at all of these things simultaneously. But what are some of the issues that you would like to be part of, working on and trying to resolve for the people of Kauai?
Yeah. So the biggest thing that motivated me was, I get a little bit emotional talking about this stuff. You know how it works. But the number one thing really, and it encompasses many aspects to it, and it's just really this one thought is just I just want to make sure that local people can keep calling Kauai home. Keep local people calling Kauai home, and everything that encompasses around that. And there's many pieces to that. It's kind of one of those things where you look at it, it's like, oh, there's a lot more than just one thing. And what's driving me to that is because, and I'm sure you get this every day, and I get it now every day. I'll get a text or a phone call or email, from either a cousin or auntie, uncle, friend, a friend of a friend, or I hear the story from someone, of someone who born and raised on the island, or even get couple generations on this island, cannot 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 stay here, cannot live here, cannot come back home. Um, and that first thing, what happens to me, I get like tug at the heart because it's just like I think about me being able to move back home 8 years ago and still being able to call Kauai home. To hear a whole family have to move, or just recently, like a month ago, my cousin just gave birth 2 months ago, and then they gotta leave, and it's not even like she has a bad job. She's a nurse, and her husband is a teacher, and like decent pay, and they have 2 kids. They just got another kid, and it's just not gonna work out, and that's them living with their family, and so I'm like, oh, like, gotta do something, and it's just one of those things when you start pulling on to the problem, or you start uncovering the challenges, you're like, oh, there's so much to do. And like I was saying earlier, instead of what most people do or some people do, instead of like, oh, that's too much, I gotta step away, I'm like, let me just untangle this thing. Let's look at this thing. Let's try to figure out. I think that's the electrician in my dad in me. It's like, well, let me figure out where this thing is, not connected, or not getting the right information, or whatever. And so that process of me untangling, throughout, the beginning of the pandemic, actually before the pandemic, 2019, was like, okay, things are doing good, and then boom, once it hit, it was like, oh shoot, even before the pandemic, people still couldn't call home, or they had a hard time. I mean, that's the one thing that people forget, or some people forget, is that even in 2019, when everything was booming, tourism was super high. It's like the most they've ever spent that year. Businesses were thriving, the lowest unemployment in the nation, in 2019, and still people had to work 3 4 jobs just to call Kauai home. And so when that hit, that then just like, man, it just like tore me apart. And I knew I had to go into overdrive. And that part for me was like, man, I don't know, it was like 33, 32. I was like, I can go overdrive. I no more kids. You know what? Let's lay it down. Let's go 18-hour days. I can go do that 3 months and then take a break. Like I have the energy. I can run it hard and not fully damage my body. I still know how to rejuvenate and relax and heal and all that stuff. But like at least I can do that. It's a sacrifice, that I feel like I have to do because of the amazing life I have. Like the memories I get, the things I do. So that is the key thing, that that one point. If I can start there, make sure local people can keep calling Kauai home. and then everything kind of falls apart from there. Housing, like that's like high up there, but like just the cost of living, food, uh, utilities, healthcare. You just right there. That's like boom, the four major expense for most people. But then the real stuff came in, like quality of life, right? Like, oh, like are you even happy here? Like like can you even enjoy bringing your kids to the soccer game on Saturday and then knowing you gotta bail because you gotta go work, and then like you're coming home at 10 at night and the kids already are sleeping and you're like poof, and then you gotta still pay for 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 the childcare, and it's like the childcare is like half of rent. I'm like, and I'm over here. I'm like, I know more kids, and I just like, I just like start one not a nonprofit and try to figure out how for help people with daycare. So
Yeah.
that's what's going on for me.
One of the things I think, the pandemic, no doubt, the pandemic created major challenges for people. But with the pandemic came a lot of relief. There was a lot of monies being tossed at people to help them get through the pandemic, whether you're a business or individuals, rental assistance, mortgage assistance, stipends, all these things. But we cannot forget, and you brought this up, we cannot forget that the problems were here before COVID. And I can speak because my two kids live in Oregon, and I don't like to bring that up to. It's not for sympathy. I'm just saying, my daughter was here. My son went first. He went to school. He got the mainland experience. He got to see opportunity. So he was, he basically grew into that. My daughter went up to visit after my son was stable up there and went up to visit, only to visit, but it didn't take her long to. You mentioned it, quality of life, the ability to work one job and enjoy life and spend your weekends or your do what you want to do where on Kauai, as you said, and again pre-pandemic, people working 2 3 jobs. I myself worked, no, and a lot of people don't know this, but for 12 of the 14 years that I was on the council, I worked full-time as a night auditor, 40 hours a week, and then go do my council duties, very little sleep. And you do that because you had to. And I don't have an extravagant life. I don't have boats and Harleys and all. I used to a long time ago when I was single. but the quality of life. So yeah, okay, we're gonna be able to live home, whatever, live at home, or find a place to live. But like you said, man, is that the quality of life that our residents deserve? Uh, Whereas on the mainland, our kids are finding opportunities that they don't have here. And how do you fix that, right? And it's really, the council can do so much, but it's a really collective effort between the local, the state, and the federal governments to ensure that we can keep our families here. And it's so much easier said than done. But
Yeah.
that is the problem. And I tell you, we celebrated my sister's 60th birthday surprise at Lidgate a couple weeks ago. Happiest One of the happiest days of her life. She was so excited. And then last week, in fact, last within the last week, she has to go send her son and his family off because they're moving to Iowa. They're moving to Iowa because they cannot make it here. And that just devastates. It takes away all the happiness that you had from a surprise birthday party, and then now seeing your kids go to Iowa too. My Lord, that's what I'm for.
Yeah,
So
that's
yeah,
super
I
far.
appreciate that, Addison. I really appreciate recognizing that really is, there is that ultimate goal, right? What is the ultimate problem, and that's part of it. And then under that, there's so many issues that lead up to that, and part of it is housing. It's just affordability of. I think we all saw the post, the $5,000. I'm sorry if it's one of you guys, one of my viewers, that's your house, but $5,000 a month for a 2 bedroom house in Koloa is criminal. And if you're one of the viewers, you can sign off and block me. But that's criminal. $5,000 a month for a 2 bedroom house in Koloa. I sorry, guys, being real. It's not even a
Oh,
palace. It's a Hicks home, just like mine.
that's
Seriously,
60
man.
60 grand. That's 60 grand in a year. 60 grand. Five grand. You have so if the you're looking at Alice level, ALSICE. So if you look that up, that's like the measurement of poverty and all those metrics that they're looking at. Man, that so at poverty level you have to be at, I think, 30%, that your household cost can't be more than 30% of what you make. So let's just go to 25% just for number's sake. So if that's 5,000 times that by four, you have to make 20 grand a month
A
to afford
month,
a
a month.
$5,000 place. 20 grand. You have to make $240,000 a year. Who's getting paid that? I'm not getting paid that. There's no way. I'm not, like, I'm a doctor of chiropractic. Nikki's a PhD. We combined don't even make that. Like, not even close. So and so you just think about who on Kauai and who's local making that money. Like, you telling me,
Who?
like, like
It's not
who
going to a local.
you
It's
know
not going to a local. There's no local that can afford 5,000 for a two-bedroom house. Jeez, Louise, and
yeah,
that was my point. It's
yeah,
we got to take some responsibility as local families too. It's okay to not lose money by renting your extra properties, but my God, man, there's no need to gouge. Definitely no
yeah,
need to gouge our local residents. I mean, and we all
yeah.
complain, oh, people leaving, are people leaving. By the way, hey, come rent my house, $5,000 a month, two bedroom.
Yeah,
No, man, I'm sorry.
yeah.
Sorry, this doesn't
Well,
work.
yeah, and I think, if we can dive a little bit into that, affordable housing, affordable rent, and that, you've been working on these things too. That's the part that's missing in all of it. Aside from there's not enough housing being built, and not enough dedicated for affordable homes, and then you widen that lens, and not enough for local people, and then you widen it even more, and there's just no place to rent to. There's just you you walk on Rice Street, you get like two apartment complexes, and that's like the densest area. And you go through Kapa'a, you'll see more, but there's just nothing. There's not a lot of options. And I guess, if there's one thing that I hope I can work with you on, and if you get into council, is just to create more options for local people. Just prioritize local people to have more options on Kauai, and whatever that may be. And that's going to be the challenge.
Inventory is always key. I mean, and you cannot focus just on low income and the so-called number one. Our definition of affordable is not accurate. The affordable definition for Kauai is 700, 800,000 a month, a year. I mean, $700, $8,000 a house. That's not affordable. I'm sorry. It's affordable to some, but not the local families. And I think that's where we got to really rethink. We got to reset the brain and say, okay, what is affordable to the average residents here? What this market has really exploded for the mainland investors, part-time residents, because they have the cash and they can buy these homes and they are buying the homes, but that takes away inventory.
Hmm.
And that inventory may sit empty for 8 months out of the year or whatever, whenever these guys go back home. But when we don't have inventory, then the market controls the value and it goes up. And it's just sad that but you need inventory at all levels. I mean, as we have, and you talked about the multi-generational households that we have on the island more than anywhere else I know, where you have great grandma, grandma, dad, and kids all living in the same house. And we can adapt to that much easier because that's kind of our culture, right? We were raised multi-generationally, but it's not, it doesn't work well. It's not that you go back to that quality of life when you have 20 people living in one household. We got to create more inventory, and we do that by providing incentives for people, for developers, affordable housing developers to operate here in Kauai. That's
Yeah,
that's
and yeah, exactly. That's exactly what we got to do. And that's you made a great point. Generationally, right? Our community back in plantation days, everybody lived in the same house. Grandma, grandpa, mom, dad, kids, and then the grandkids will start there too. So that's why we can somewhat survive and figure it out. But in order for us to reach that next level for our community, we need to be able to allow for these families to better take care of each other, right? And not have 20 people in a four-bedroom house. And so that's why, things like, what you guys were doing, and what the current council is trying to do with ARUs and ADUs, that is one small piece to the that problem or that solution that we can bring to it. And hopefully we can also just make it more narrow, right? Like make it focus on local people. Like, I just think about how I was raised. I was raised with my we were born and raised in my grandma's house. Like, so my grandma, grandpa, and then my mom and dad and the four kids. In one four-bedroom house. So yeah, me and my sister share a bedroom. My two brothers share a bedroom. Grandma and grandpa share a bedroom. Like it was just normal. But as we grew up, you could see that in order for like myself to try to break out as a younger person, I need a little space to think. I need a little space to grow. And so if we had an ARU or ADU back then, that would have helped. Because that would allow us to do that thing. And this is vulnerability. That's where we are right now. Like we're living with my parents right now, and I'm like looking at like, oh yeah, I definitely can't. We can't buy a house. Like no way, no way I can buy a house right now. So we're like, oh,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
so maybe we can do an ADU or an ARU, and we're like looking at that. It's like, oh, but it's still just like right at that level where it's like, oh, it's little bit like too much still yet. So how many people are in that situation, right? That's like, no, if I the $30,000 water meter like just puts it right up over the top, like that little
Yeah.
stuff is just like, okay, how can we figure this out for if I'm one of like the multiples of families in Lihue and Kapa and Kalaheo and Kilauea, get these families that had these houses at least two generations now, but they gotta make improvements. It's just, and the only way they can make improvements is if their grandkids moved in and helped with the house. And that's
Mm.
that's the situation for a lot of families. Like, okay, we gotta fix the roof. That's 50 grand. If we want to put solar because electric is going up, it's another 50 grand. That's 100 grand already. That's just that. And then you're like, okay, I gotta add one water meter, 30 grand. I gotta get the draft done. Oh, that's 5 to 10 grand. You're getting to already $300,000-400,000 for an add-on, for an add-on to an existing house. And so the little stuff we can do there, because then that will help. Like, I mean, granted, if your kids wanted to come back home, most likely it's gonna be that conversation, like, oh, dad, what can put an ADU on your property? That's
That that
that's literally the conversation.
that would be the only option. I mean, that would really be the only option. And but that is the low hanging fruit, though. Right now, if you look at all the properties that a lot of old timers here, they have these big parcels of land, and they're land rich, cash poor. They don't have the money
Yeah,
to. And in fact, the sad reality is a lot of them don't even have the money to pay for the property taxes, and that's why they're
yeah,
they're forced to sell, and which is kind of sad. But the additional dwelling units would be the quickest way if we allow those that can do it, and we incentivize the ADUs, provided that they use the additional dwelling units, the additional structure, for long-term rentals, preferably to family member. But you really cannot control who they rent to, but you can control through the taxation how much you're going to pay tax on that thing. So if you decide to keep it in affordable range and long-term rent the thing, then you get some tax benefit. I mean, but that's the
yeah,
low-hanging fruit right now, because no one, very few people, local people, can afford to go out and buy a piece of land and build a house. It is going to come out about 700,000 to $1 million, with the land infrastructure and the construction cost. That's just the reality of Kauai.
yeah, exactly. And the reason why too, I'm saying this, and I'm just to repeat myself one more time. It's not the only solution. It's just one part. It's going to be multiple parts. But what I'm looking at is, and I'm sure you're looking at it too, is that all our grandma and grandpas right now who need long-term care, and then my mom and dad, like, you know, God willing, like nothing happens, but 5 years from now, like what if they need long-term care? What if somebody fall down, break one hip and need care? Like that's what I'm planning in my head. I'm like, I'm 35, but I'm already thinking, oh, I should just probably be like right next to them because most likely I'm gonna have to take care because healthcare is gonna be expensive, and that's just kind of the multiple layers that every family is like thinking of or either like just so busy and add that to the plate of what they're thinking of, or they're trying to solve that problem right now and they're just like, oh, this is too much, bruh. So whatever we can do to enable these local families to help figure that out for their families, that's what I'm all about. Like that's that hopefully the next 2 years, if I get elected, I can work with you and all the other council members and just really like dial that in so that we can put some of these solutions in, so that they can move a little bit forward on those things and not have to like worry. Right now that quality of life is getting sucked up because all that worry and of fear of all that stuff. So
Well, you're a chiropractor. If you were using the practices of chiropractic from 40 years ago, and you didn't change, you don't go and learn whether you go to a conference or you go to online education or continue whatever. However, you guys learn. But imagine if your practice was limited to the technology of, like I say, 40 or 50 years ago. You probably wouldn't be so successful. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure some of that stuff still work, but I think the technology and the changes in learning how the body reacts to chiropractic, I think, has changed. And so, my point is this: as long as we continue to do what we've been doing over the last few decades, we are going to get the same results. In fact, we're going to get less results because of cost. Um, the solutions are out there. I mean, they're and a lot of people. Uh, don't like to go beyond our shores to go learn what other places are doing. But I think I went to a private housing summit probably 5 years ago. In fact, maybe no, I was less than that because I wasn't on the council. I went to listen to a bunch of these private nonprofit developers from Oahu, and I listened to their housing summit. And it was interesting because I think 2 or 3 weeks prior, the county had their housing summit. It's night and day, because you see, government was never built or set up to be affordable housing developers, and they're not. And politicians for sure as hell ain't developers. And the problem is because politics gets in the way. So I guess all I'm trying to say is that if you allow the experts, if you allow the chiropractors to work on people that need chiropractic care, if you allow these people that have been doing affordable housing development on Oahu, the Avalons and Stanford Carr and all of these companies, that's what they do. Get them in a workshop, get them in a real workshop, a learning workshop, and understand what we can do better. That's our only hope. I mean, if you go in there and you could throw more money to the problem, but if you're not using that money efficiently and effectively and utilizing the tools that are available today, which is funding and tax credits and so forth, you're not going to get any different results. I promise you.
yeah.
And that's what it is. At some point we got to accept the fact that there's better ways to do what we need to do, and we need to start looking at that, because the 40 unit projects and the 30 unit projects and the 24 unit projects, yeah, they're going to help a little. But when you're looking at the thousands and thousands of units that we need to satisfy our housing shortage right now, you're talking mega projects. You're talking 2, 3, 400 unit affordable, truly affordable housing projects. So, yeah, man, I hope we do get the chance to work together. I really do. Just the ability to think outside the box and find out what tools can we use to make this stuff happen. I'm gonna jump over real quick. Oh no, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, yeah, that's exactly. That's why I'm super excited because if you get me and you in a room already, that's you just pulled another solution together right there. That the nonprofit sector, the expertise that or experts that have been working on this, that see other places that have figured it out, pieces of it, and then we make it applicable for our local people, meaning that it's built for our local people, in the best way that can serve them. I mean, no doubt that some of these things can be implemented soon. So that's what I'm pumped for because having you already in that mind space, and that's the thing. I think that's the key piece, right? If we have more representatives like you and myself and other people that can have that mind space of just wanting to learn and then wanting to work super hard on the solution, but I that's why I'm hopeful. That's why I'm not putting my hat in and moving away. I'm putting my hat in because I can count on us, on our community, to figure this out, because we've done it before. And that resiliency is kind of born in us, right? So now we just gotta tie in that resiliency with some innovation. And that's why I'm pumped. They get no, we talk about these things and it's like dire, but then at the same time, there's just like ball of energy of hope inside that just like makes you want to pull an all nighter and just let's go. Like let's go.
Yeah, well, I mean, and there's plenty of all nighters to pull because there's a
Yeah.
lot of issues. And again, I mean, you can choose to just continue to toss more money at these small ideas, or really rethink the problem. And I'll jump to the next subject because the time flies in this show, man. It just flies super fast.
Oh,
But
yeah, 30 minutes
one of
already.
the I know one of the bigger problems that we're facing, and is solid waste. You know, that's an issue that has plagued us for quite a while. And we live on an island. We have finite land. We just you only have so much land on this island, and landfills. I mean, we're full. Kekaha or Mana is full. We will be full in a few years, much sooner than it will take us to build a new landfill. And I know the current administration is looking at expanding Kekaha for another 100 years. And I think, again, like I said, let's get some stakeholders in the room. Let's have some experts in waste management, in solid waste, in municipal solid waste, and let's figure out what's available, what all options or alternatives are available for us, and let's take a real serious look at what we do. And for me, I think we got to find an alternative waste to energy technology. And I don't, we can agree to disagree, Addison. I have no idea where you stand on this, but this is just from my perspective, is we got to find a technology or a process that's going to serve this community for longer than our term of office. You know what I mean? We got to think for the next generation and the one that follows them. Too many politicians think they think within their term of office and try to get what they can accomplish. But the reality is the decisions we make today will affect generations to come. So why not look today and figure out which direction we may have to shift gears here and look at some other process. But that's an issue that it's a crisis. We're gonna be in deep kimchi probably in the next 3 to 4 years, and it's going to be a problem that we cannot politically explain our way out of because we have been warned and informed. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's horrific.
It's crazy. I just remember talking to you. I don't know. When did you run for mayor? 2018. That was 2018 already. Oh yeah.
2018.
I remember having a conversation with you, and you're like, Addison, it's probably the most unsexiest thing to bring up, but my top priority is the landfill. I'm like, yeah, for real. Like and that was 2018, and look at where we are. Like zero movement, right, on that thing. And so, 100% agree
Well,
with you in there.
real quick, I
Yeah,
gotta put this in because if you looked at my brochure, mine was
yeah.
like
I
not
remember.
sexy. I remember telling when going to forums and stuff like that. I said, yeah, unfortunately, I'm a realist, and this is the issues that we got to deal with now: the landfill, the traffic, and all of these things. And of course, Derek had the really nice thing, and hey, Derek's my friend, and I we're still friends today. But that was the needs that our community needed now, and it's not sexy. It is not sexy at all. But those are the issues that's going to bring our community some major impacts if we don't deal with it. And yeah, I'm glad you remember that. I kind of forgot already.
Yeah, just remember that. And there's no, this is the key thing though. That this is why you're a great leader in the community, is that you bring up the unsexy topics that people aren't looking at, right? And so, we're having this conversation here, and maybe there's viewers here thinking about that, like, oh yeah, that is a real problem, and that wasn't the top of mind. Top of mind is always housing or traffic, just the stuff that is right in your front of your face. But if you don't live Kekaha, or you're not working in that trash management, it's not even at the top of your mind frame. And so that's the challenge too, right? And that's, you made a huge point, is that when I'm not there yet, but if we get elected and I'm working with you, we're looking at, what can we learn and implement that is for now, but will last for generations, right? And that's that whole concept of ikigai. Oh man, the Japanese concept of like always learning and always improving. And so that's the kind of stuff of like the mind frame that we have to have, is that we got to work on these challenges now, knowing that 10, 20, 30, 40 years from now, either that solution we put in is adaptable so that it grows, so it can adapt for the community, or it has to be able to be changed at some point, or if you set it up, you know in that moment so it lasts forever, best route possible, right? You need whatever we can do. The goal is to create short-term solutions that are long-term positive effect in the way that we can. And so that's the trick, right? That's the challenge that I'm sure you worked on for years, and it's just that balance of trying to figure that out. But I'm in agreement with you, like that is like highest on part, and this is the challenge, right? People are watching like, oh, everything's a crisis, and the unfortunate truth, we have multiples of crisis happening on Kauai and in our community, and the landfill is a crisis. It's not like we don't even have a plan. That's how like critical this is, and they're saying it's like 2025 now, right? It's gonna be filled, and they already extended it. I think this is the if it, this is if correct me if I'm wrong, Mel, but they extended it two times already, right? And this is like a third extension, or is this, or it
Yeah.
got extended once and then this is gonna extend it one more time? I
No,
can't
it got extended
track.
twice, and in fact, maybe even more. I kind of lost track, but I do remember Jay Fafara was the chair when we did the last expansion, and they promised us that that would be the last expansion because the whole plan was to move that up to Mahalo Road up in Hanamalo, and that fell through. So I believe it was expanded one more time, and then now there's, I think, seeking another one. But again, what would you keep expanding that mountain? It's just destroyed that whole landscape out there in Kekaha or in Mana. I don't know. It's Kekaha or Mana. I'm not sure, but but that is that. I think a lot of people are not aware of the ramifications that we will suffer. See, what will happen is when the State Department of Health closes that, they will close that gate, and no one will be able to go in. And then Kauai is going to have to go apply for some kind of emergency permitting from the state to operate some emergency landfills like we did after the hurricane. I mean, but you see, the problem is we've known about this for a long time. My first forum ever, Kaipo Singh was on the council. I just happened to sit next to Kaipo. They put me next to Kaipo. No, I'm sorry. I was further on down the table, but Kaipo was alphabetical, so he was first. That was my first term. I had no idea what the heck I was doing. And the question was, what is your most important capital improvement project? I'm going to be honest, bro. I didn't even know what one capital improvement project was. I honestly did not know. I sat there. I was like, okay, hopefully people are going to answer the questions. So going to give me some ideas. And Kaipo was saying, I'll never forget this. This was back in 98. He said, the landfill. 98 now. And Kaipo had been on the council for like 20 years prior. And as I heard all the other candidates and incumbents and candidates answering the questions, it became very clear to me that the landfill was the issue. So when it came to me, I said, I gotta agree with Councilmember Singh that the landfill. I had no idea what the heck was going on, and I soon found out through a lot of it through working with Kaipo and other members of the council that had been through different versions of waste to energy, and again, remember now, this is 20 years ago, 20 plus years ago, where the technology wasn't as good, and now it's so much better. But anyway, my point is that this has been on the radar for decades, and now we're like, whoa,
Yeah.
and it's not the people's fault. It is the county, the leaders' fault that we are where we're at today, because we keep kicking that can down the road. I tell people now, the can is at the cul-de-sac, guys. There is no more kicking the can.
It's in front of your house. It's like,
It's
imagine, bro. What if? Okay, here's worst case scenario, right? Worst case scenario. Fast forward 2025, no landfill, no more No more anywhere for put the trash. No more anywhere for put the trash. What do you think is the like the top things the top solutions for immediate solutions, right? There's only a few things you can do, right? It's like I'm gonna ship the trash. I'm gonna somehow eliminate the trash. Like you cannot put them in the landfill. Or you're like, okay, yeah, let's just create another mountain. And that's not a solution. And that's why it's like 2022, 3 years for get at least a plan going. And so, I want to circle back around this. When you brought that up to me in 2018, I was like, oh, bro, how do I be part of the solution then? Because that's always like whenever someone bring up a challenge, I'm like, oh, I just don't want to be part of the problem, like be part of the solution. So like, what can I do? What individually can I do? So just my life practice and what we're doing with just the nonprofits I'm part of is try to divert as much of the trash away from the landfill. Like that's I think step one is try to divert as much as possible. Like compostable stuff. So at home we compost our food. Like that the basic stuff and that's it's a small part. Like and small parts add up over time, but and then recycle all our stuff, like just little bit stuff we do that. And then now we do it in all of our events, and that's hundreds of pounds now we're adding over time. And so just this year and the next year committing to everything that happens in Lihue. And I mean, not that the nonprofits I'm part of do every event, but as much as possible, like I reach out like, hey, how can we divert some of this stuff? Can we compost these things? Can we recycle these things? Like what can we do just to make it easier for you guys? And that where that's one piece, that's like a small piece. But then there's all the other pieces, to that. And so that's why I'm pumped because, if I get to work with you and Bernard, that's the one thing I was afraid of. Like we need people that have the knowledge and the base information. Like you're saying, sitting in that forum and not having the ideas or not understanding capital improvement. Like not even 4 years ago, I wouldn't even know what capital improvement meant too. And so I'm super grateful because to be in this situation to work with people like you guys. I'm pumped.
Yeah, well, it does take. I ran when I first ran. I had no, I didn't expect to win. I just ran because I was angry, and I wanted to get my voices heard out in a campaign. I had absolutely no intention, no expectation to win, and it was a good thing I didn't win because I really wasn't ready back in '98. Um, but the learning process, the learning curve is there, and it takes some time to understand. And then there's so many issues. There's the big issues that we've been talking about tonight, that everybody is aware of. But then there's always wastewater, the breakdowns at the wastewater plants, the fact that we got to move our wastewater plant in Wailua. That's gonna. There's always so many things going on that the public does not see. And then I think one of the things I really think we got to step up is the transparency of government, is making sure that the public is aware of everything going on, everything, whether they think it's important for me to know or not. Everyone should be aware of what's going on in our county. And I think that's one of the reasons they took me off the bench and out of retirement was I wasn't feeling like me as a citizen was being informed of what was happening in our county. And it was a tough decision, and one that me and Patsy spoke of for a long time. But I said I cannot sit here on the sidelines uh, and not get involved. And that's kind of and that's all I'm saying is we got to get that transparency back and make sure the public is aware and engaged and involved. Because I tell you what, we get some brilliant people in our community, like yourself. So many people in our community that are very intelligent when it comes to problem solving. But if they don't know, then they don't know how to get engaged, right?
Yeah, well, and that's what I appreciate about you and what you've been doing the last 3 years is that you kind of acted like the bridge for information, and that's why I'm pumped because if we get in and continue this type of dialogue with the community and get people engaged in like the way you got people engaged throughout this pandemic, I mean, I'm telling you, man, you're a force to be reckoned for solutions because I mean, just imagine how many people like looking all these comments. I'm like, oh yeah, these are great questions. I'm like, this is the dialogue gotta happen, like that, and it wouldn't happen if it wasn't somebody never throw a show on, So I'm like, yes, throw the show on, like so we can, I literally just jump on this to watch your show to understand what people thinking and what we can do and always get gold nuggets in these little comment box. I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. And I end up like messaging these people, so like, I don't know, people, don't be scared, but just put what you can, your thoughts inside. No worries. Like it really helps, because we're not supposed to be the know-it-alls, right? Like I, we're not here trying to run because we think we know all the solutions. I mean, we just know one piece, and then our job is to try to gather that information, learn, and try to make the best decision so that will allow our community to thrive, right? And that's really what I feel like I'm kind of super excited about, but at the same time a little bit scared because it's like, oh, sometimes yeah, I mean, and you have a lot of experience in this, right? Like sometimes you just can't make some decisions like, oh shoot, if I knew that before, okay, now I know, like it's you just gotta learn, like you just make the best decision you can at the moment, and then if you gotta adapt, you gotta adapt.
And you do that by communicating with people. I can honestly tell you, man, I went in on votes where I changed my vote on the floor on the day of the vote because of what someone came to testify about or some information that they had provided. And I'm not ashamed to say it, man. I'm an open-minded guy, and I'm very aggressive and outspoken. But definitely, if you can help us with a solution, I want to hear it, and let's have that discussion, and let's get you in front of people that can make it happen. And I think that's what, egos. You got to really put the ego outside when you work on a council. You just throw that ego, leave them at the door, come inside, and just be a sponge, absorb, learn. That's the key, because we don't know. As much experience as I have on that county council, I'll be the first to tell you I do not have the solutions, because it's different when you're in government, because now you have so many moving parts. So but if we can get those people in front of our constituents and have the constituents, give them an opportunity to say yes or no, or at least learn, the decisions and the votes become so much easier. But you cannot do that when the public isn't aware of what the heck is going on.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I can't believe it's already 6 minutes to the hour.
Yeah, man, this thing flies, man. This thing flies, and like I said, there's so there's just so many issues. But number one is creating a council that is responsive and receptive and able to work together, but yet willing to agree to disagree. I think that is critical, because that's where the most, people used to think I hated Joanne and she hated me. I don't know if she hated me, but I didn't hate her for sure. I can honestly tell you that we had so many discussions that didn't occur on the floor. I mean, and Joanne is a brilliant woman. She's a very aggressive person as well, and it's very hard to change her mind or convince her. But her brain is very intelligent, and I used to enjoy the after meetings. She would always come into my office, because we had some issues on the floor, because she had a difficult time following the rules of the time, the time limit. So we would always get into this argument. I'd hit my hammer and take a recess, and she would always come in afterwards to have that chat, the post-game chat, and just sit down, and she would say, I apologize, or I would say I apologize, or whatever. And then just the depth of her knowledge in issues was amazing. There was never any hate between me and her, and we actually had a lot of productive meetings over the 14 years that I served with her. But that's where people got to leave the egos at the door and come in and just be willing to have that discussion, and look for solutions for the public, and not for politics.
Yeah, man, the both of you just sharing that and knowing that that's the process, because I'm not in there yet, so I don't know how it works, and then that's what I hope that was like how it works. And like, yeah, that's exactly what I thought it would be. But yeah, I gotta agree with both of you guys, both you and Joanne, just like you guys not afraid to learn, like, and like really like dig, like just dig for that solution. Like I just remember having lunches with Joanne, and she would just like, when she knows a topic, she like uncovers every piece that you could find to really
Hmm.
understand the depth of that. And she'll have like, oh, she'll send you the paper and she'll send you all that information. So it's like none of the decision making that, and that's what I appreciate with people that can do that or have the time, and then working with expertise that will do that for specific topics, is that we're not PhDs in anything. Like I talk to my fiance all the time. Like I just being with her, I've learned so much about education. Like because her PhD is in education and policy, and with the emphasis on like Native Hawaiian knowledge. Like how people know what they know. I'm like, holy smokes! In the last 2 years, I've been getting schooled. Like, oh man, I thought my 7th, 8th, ninth grade of Hawaiian studies, and then me dancing in a halau, and I thought that was a lot of Hawaiian. It's like, nope. No, not enough Hawaiian. So you gotta learn more, and so there's all these other aspects. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to learn about public works even more and roads. I can't
Yeah.
wait to learn a little bit more about our county parks, or like I can't wait to learn, and I try, like with the projects that we have, and do what we can. But I think that's one thing that, when I look up to you and Joanne, is that you guys pursue the knowledge, like you're not afraid of learning and wanting to try to up that game so you can make the best decision. So I mean that's the road, right?
That's the road, man. I tell you, if you have an open mind and you're willing to learn, I mean, for me, it's easy because I love, like you said earlier, you really love learning, and so do I. I mean, I love learning. I love hearing about the history. I love hearing about the culture. I'm still trying to get information on cocoa palms. I really wanted to talk about cocoa palms tonight, but I don't have enough information right now. Maybe having problems with planning calling me back, and that's one of the things that we got to fix. When a constituent calls, somebody needs to call you back. And that bothers me when I call a county office and I don't get a call back. That bothers me. And I'm talking as a citizen. I ain't talking as a council member. Just everyone that calls should get a call back. But we're going to do a show on Cocoa Ponds because I think it's one big, it's an issue that's got to be discussed in open. And but council members, legislators, senators got to have that attitude where I want to learn. I want to learn everything I can about this issue. I want to know as much as I can about how the community feels about this issue. I really don't care what someone in Missouri or Canada or New York thinks about. No, I really, honestly, and I don't say that to be arrogant. I'm just saying I want to know what the people of Kauai feels about that issue, and that's the people that I want to learn from. And I think if everyone has that kind of mindset, everyone is willing to step outside the box and try something new that may not be your idea, we'd be in a much better place. So
Yeah.
that's kind of how I've learned to do that job. But anyway, I want to give you as much time as you. I want you to. This is an opportunity where you get to share, or not share, but ask our viewers, or yeah, ask them why, or tell them why you should get their vote, why they should vote for you in the general election. Number one, why should they vote? They need to vote, people. You guys got to vote, man. Let's we can do better than 39.6%. Please, 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 please. Whether you vote for me or not, please vote.
Yeah.
But more importantly, for those that decide to vote, why should they vote for Addison Bulosan?
Yeah, I mean, just the number one thing for everyone that I hope, watching this back, and if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. But please come out to vote. I hope that these little nuggets of talk stories that we get to do, you learn a little bit more about me, or learn about us and what we can do, and hopefully work with you on all the things. But this is one thing, my fiance and my family gives this feedback for me, and I hope this is something that kind of sets me apart with some of the things that we're looking to get implemented for our community, and hopefully at the council level, and hopefully I can be part of that. But what my fiance would always say, or my family, they'll always say, Addison, you're an implementer. Like you don't just like think about an idea. You're not a dreamer. You don't just like sit around and think about great stuff. It's like if you hear a great idea, you like work on it like instantly, and you're relentless. You're like you just go. And I hope that's something that our community can see with all the stuff that we're doing. And I hope, if you're looking at the council, the future council that you're looking to have, just know that if you got solutions and you know that it's going to work for us, and you want somebody that can really help make it happen. Like I can't promise that I'm gonna be that guy, but I'm gonna work to be that guy. I'm gonna do whatever I can to implement these things so that we can see the results for us and for our community and our local people, so that we can keep calling Kauai home. And so, and I'm not afraid to work. So, and Nikki is watching, my fiance is like, oh man, he's already telling everybody to work hard. So, guess this guy gonna not sleep some more. No, I get sleep. I promise, I sleep. But and I guess that's one thing that I want to end with too, is that a lot of people have been asking, like, oh Addison, you're already doing planning stuff. Like, oh, you get your practice, you get the nonprofits you're part of. Like, how are you gonna juggle them all? Like, how are you juggle it all? Well, succession planning, guys. Succession planning, and allowing to step away so other leaders can step up. And that means, yes, I am looking to hire new doctors. And if I get elected, that's what's going to happen. We're going to transition. We're going to transition so all these things can keep supporting our community, transition out of these positions in nonprofits so that we can keep doing all the good work there, and then focus our time at the council level. And so trust me, like, yeah, that's the one thing that people always say, right? You don't, if you want something to get done, you give it to the most busiest person, and not because they're busy, it's because they implement, right? And so that's what we're gonna do, and I'm looking forward to doing that with you, Mel, and whoever makes up the council, and and like I said, and I say this every time, regardless if I get elected too, if elected this year or not, we're still going to work on the challenges, and we're still going to bring solutions to the community. We're not going to stop. It's not like the problem going to be like disappeared because I never get elected. So that's the real thing about it, right? Like, we can't let these things keep going on. And so I'm pumped. Let's go. Let's get to work. I'm like, oh, it's 8 o'clock. You got to calm down and go sleep now. Like, oh, I'm pumped now. Mel, you're getting
Yeah,
me.
I
Like,
think
I got
sometimes I get off of this show, man. I'm like, oh golly, man. Now what? I gotta go turn on one replay of a football game or something, just so my brain can relax a little bit. But I just wanted to say, so first of all, thanks for joining us tonight. Appreciate you, man. I appreciate all that you do. Really, appreciate all that you do for our community, and of course, standing up to run. I've had a couple of people ask me, "Mel, how come you bring on your competition on your show?" Like, number one, I don't want no competition. I'm running for one of the 7 seats. I'm not running against anybody. I'm not. The people will select 7 council members on November 8th. I hope to be one of them. I also hope that the people will get to know their candidates running so they can make informed decisions. And I hope tonight helped you learn a little bit more about Addison. And Addison, how can people get in touch with you? You got a website or?
Yeah, so you can reach me at my name, addisonbulosan.com. So it's AddisonBulosan. So it's bulosan.com.
Check it out, guys. Also, I always, it's not that I don't get paid by the Civil Beat to promote their paper or online paper, but they have an amazing candidate questionnaire for all the races. I highly recommend they ask some good questions, and you'll get to see some of the responses. Also, you're able to get in touch with different candidates, but reach out to your candidates, talk to them, ask them the tough questions, because that's the people that are going to possibly be representing you in the next few months. So, yeah, you guys take it easy. Hey, one last thing, Turtle Ball, before, because Patsy gonna kill me
Yeah.
if I don't. Turtle Ball coming up. If you haven't been to let a non-Filipino tell you about the Turtle Ball. It's an extravaganza of the Filipino culture. It's amazing. The entertainment is great. The only thing about the Filipinos, they don't know very good the time management. So sometimes you might have to wait a little while for dinner, but the entertainment is phenomenal. So if you guys haven't already got your tickets to the Turtle Ball, Addison, how can maybe they can just reach out to you, and you can hook them up with some Turtle Ball tickets.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, my mom, I think your wife is selling some tickets too, right? I can't remember.
Yeah,
She
I
might
think she
have
has.
some too. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I think.
But it's gonna be at Royal Sonesta. It's September 17th. Filipinos love to gather. They love to make things awesome. And yes, Mel, they love to party for a long periods of time. So you just imagine the event is gonna be 4 or 5 hours of fun though. So, but it's one of those things where it's culture rich. Yes, you learn about the culture, you learn about the food, you learn about the things that what makes eternal. That's the powerful thing about taking care of our traditions, is that it allows us to have a sense of community, but also then pass it down to our future generations. So we have this rock foundation of steady values. So I'm pumped. It's I don't know what number is this, but my mom has must have shared this a couple of times. But I just remember the best thing about this event, besides the good food and the good entertainment, is how everyone dresses up. It's just such a cool thing. It's just like you don't see this often, like where people get to wear traditional wear. And it's really awesome to see a culture celebrated, one that, of heritage of mine, obviously. Oh man, I did, real quick side tangent, I did the 23andMe, and I was for sure thought I had at least some Spanish, but wow, I'm 100% Filipino, which is amazing. Um, but,
But
but
the other thing, the thing that I just so, and it's respect, I guess, but it's, you talked about the attire, the custom, these things, a lot of these dresses and gowns, or turnals as they call it, and the barong that the men wear are custom made, and it's just, you got to see it, guys. You got to really see it, because my first turnal ball, I you learn so much. And the pride that these women, not so much the men with the barong, but the women and their turnals, and the pride that they show with their dresses or their turnals, is amazing. It's just, it's like you actually got transported to the Philippines.
yeah, yeah,
And the entertainment, the quality of the entertainment, the choreography and the music. And it's if you guys have never been there, yeah, let Addison know. I think, yeah, I guess you can let me know too, because I think Patsy might be selling some tickets too.
perfect.
But yeah, awesome stuff, man. Well, again, Addison, thank you so much, man. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Send our love from Patsy and I to your Ohana, and to Nikki. I don't know, did I don't think I met your fiance yet, but that's going to be critical, getting the support of your fiance and future wife, because they are just as big a part of um, serving the community as the candidate or the politician itself. They play
Yeah,
just as important role in the representation of the people, basically, because they're there, and you get your critique every day you come home from a council meeting, or every time they write about you in a paper. Your spouse or significant other will be the first critic of your performance. So God
yeah.
bless the two of you.
Oh, thank you, and we send our love to you and Patsy. Thank you so much for being a mentor and a friend, and I'm just excited for our community to be able to work with you.
All right, folks, you guys all, again, thank you so much. You guys take care. God bless. We love you.